you'll need to upskill in areas that AI can't replicate. In the world where everyone looks great with AI, your only real advantage is your unique strategic thinking. Welcome to Design Bigger, the podcast for designers and studios ready to think bigger, design bigger brands, and land bigger projects. I'm Nika Warland, an ex-big agency brand strategy director who took her blue-chip client expertise and built a freelance career helping independent agencies around the globe. This is the podcast where I share the tricks of the trade for lean design thinking to set you up as a world-class creative talent. As a translator between business and creatives, I'll show you how to speak client, hack top agency frameworks, and think like the best studios out there. If you're ready to design bigger, hit subscribe and let's get started. Hello, designers. Your host, Nika, is here, and it's Friday here in Seattle. We have spring break next week, and I'm going down with a cold, so I'll sound a little bit stuffy today, but I really wanted to record this episode because I wanted to talk about what the last week's OpenAI release of ChatGPT 40 image generation capability means for designers, as well as other marketing industry creatives like copywriters, photographers, and strategists. I know it's still early to tell exactly how it will affect us all, but I've just received so many messages from friends and seen discussions on LinkedIn and Threads and Instagram and my DMs and emails on my Zoom calls. So I feel like we need to talk about it because there's a lot of angst. So when ChatGPT's free version launched about a year ago, I saw the same level of fear among my copywriter friends. When you ask Claude or Gemini to generate copy for a website on any given topic, it does a decent job. So yes, it has absolutely left many copywriters without jobs. We are experiencing the AI revolution, right? Which is exactly the same when the Industrial Revolution replaced countless jobs with machines. Milton Friedman, the renowned economist and Nobel laureate, had a great quote on the subject. While visiting a construction site when workers were digging a canal with shovels instead of modern machinery, he asked why they weren't using tractors. A government bureaucrat replied, "You don't understand. This is a jobs program." Friedman, never one to miss an opportunity for sharp wit, responded, "Oh, I thought you were trying to build a canal. If it's jobs you want, then why not give them spoons instead of shovels?" His point was pretty clear. Work for the sake of work is in progress. Efficiency and productivity drive economic growth. And for long-form copywriters, the rise of AI has made their craft more efficient, but also more replaceable. Clients who once needed a professional writer to sense-check copy can now do it pretty much themselves. So I feel for copywriters. However, for more strategic copywriters who do advertising, taglines, messaging, brand storytelling, it's a slightly different game. Because it's not about word count or filling pages. It's about landing a complex message in a way that's relevant to both the consumer and the medium. So far, AI struggles to do that. I've spent the past year trying to make AI do this job for me, and every time it does an okay job, and you still have to refine it for a long time. AI generates taglines we've all seen before, like heritage distilled and every bottle has a story and find your element. I tried all sorts of prompts like write it like Hemingway, write it like haiku, write it like an angry French aristocrat from the 19th century. No matter the prompt, the suggested copy is just a regurgitation of something that already exists. Because by its very nature, large language models pull from existing references like articles, books, documents. If you need a general description for a hotel or a can of soda, it will do a decent job. But if you need to connect the dots in a new way and create a new kind of message that will cut through the noise, you need a human for that. At this point, we'll see how it goes. And that's the gap. AI can repackage what exists, but it can't invent what doesn't. It still struggles to write copy that lands multiple messages at once, speaking to a specific audience while subtly highlighting value propositions and consumer benefits without sounding salesy, all while staying on brand in tone of voice. That's a tall ask. So if you're a copywriter who's really delivering complex strategic thinking in the form of text, then I think you're going to be fine. Now let's talk about photographers, because this last week's OpenAI ChatGPT 40 release really affected them. So the new update creates very precise, accurate, photorealistic outputs. I have a friend who does product photography for your favorite brands and magazines like Kinfolk. And she has a very distinct aesthetic. It's very beautiful, very recognizable. Last week, after OpenAI announcement, she posted on her Instagram story saying, well, it's been nice knowing you guys. Because with the right prompt, ChatGPT now creates visuals incredibly close to what she would achieve using lighting and lenses and physical tools. For photographers who have owned a specific aesthetic, this is a big deal. Why would somebody book a studio and hire a photographer and cast models and direct a shoot and retouch for hours when you can just generate a similar image for just $20 a month? If your aesthetic is in the data set or publicly available data AI is training on, like say Studio Ghibli, I feel for you. And right now you really have three options. Option one is quit your job and finally pursue your dream of starting an organic farm and buying mini piggies. Your second option is to have your work removed from AI training data and opt out of having it sold to third parties. Though the process can vary depending on the AI platform, it might take a bit of effort, but you can control how your work is used. If AI replicates your unique style or designs without permission, you might be able to sue the brand using it, but it might change. In fashion, for example, the basic design of a garment, things like the shape, cut, and dimensions are considered useful articles and aren't protected by copyright. This is how fast fashion brands like H&M, Gap can copy designs that aren't considered original enough for protection. The concern is that AI could eventually treat graphic design like everyday objects, which wouldn't be eligible for copyright. We're not there yet, but it's something to watch out for. The third option for photographers is to develop a new, unique aesthetic, protect it from the get-go and hope that ChatGPT doesn't absorb it in a year. And avoid posting it online so the machines can learn from it, which is impossible because that's how most photographers find their clients. So photographers, I feel for you. Long form copywriters, I also feel for you. It's a very painful transition that only, creatives with the most original thinking and skill set will survive. So that takes us to the next type of creative, graphic and brand designers. You, my friends, are feeling anxious too, because ChatGPT 4D image generation can also do a decent job at identity, posters, and packaging design. It can take an existing can and apply typography and illustration in a sloppy but sometimes okay way. By the way, I've heard people say, mock-up websites are dead, which I can see. If you can just create an image of a hand holding a wine bottle with green pastures in the background, why go to a mock-up site? That demand will definitely be shrinking. But let's talk about graphic design. So currently, ChatGPT still struggles with typography. You've seen those AI-generated ads where the packaging says gibberish, right? Whilst imperfect and annoying, it's still a great way to explore ideas. And actually, in my corner of the design industry, which focuses on CPG brands, AI has been a part of the creative process for a few years now. Many agencies I work with use AI specifically for design exploration. Here's how it works. The agency inputs the creative brief. The AI generates hundreds of label options. The designer then picks the top few that best match the brief, but still does the finishing work, like adjusting typography and reshuffling the elements and applying key brand assets according to guidelines. The designer's role is still essential in refining the final product. So AI just helps streamline the process, but doesn't replace the designer's expertise. I personally don't see a world where AI fully replaces designers, especially because of copyright law. Packaging or identity design created solely by AI isn't eligible for copyright protection, since it lacks the human authorship required for legal protection. For something to be copyrighted, a human designer needs to have contributed in some way, whether by arranging elements or modifying designs or adding creative input. Additionally, clients will still need designers to ensure that AI-generated designs don't spark lawsuits from other creatives who feel that their work or styles have been appropriated. Designers play a key role in making sure that the work stays original and legally sound, something AI can't fully handle on its own. And these are hard reasons, right? But the soft reasons that make me think designers will be fine are because graphic and brand design is just so nuanced. AI can totally create a decent basic design, which is something Canva actually has been doing for over 5 years now. But we still have designers, right? When it comes down to anything more nuanced, especially when guidelines and range navigation and multiple SKUs are involved, brands will still need you, my dear designers. All those low-ticket clients who used to come to you for things like one product design or one logo design or a basic website are the ones who will now turn to ChatGPT. If they couldn't figure it out with Canva, they can now simply send a message to ChatGPT and get the work done. The threshold has been lowered, and what once required a designer is now more accessible to anyone. This means the playing field for designers is shifting, but I believe in a positive way. Firstly, with the help of AI, I anticipate designers will be shifting into the creative director role. They will use tools like ChatGPT as their junior designer or a photographer or art director all in one, which means congratulations. You guys have all been promoted. You now have a really strong team at your disposal. Secondly, you will potentially start getting jobs from more higher paying clients because all the low paying clients use AI for their basic needs, which is pretty exciting for those who are ready to level up. But you need to close the gap in order to act like that creative director and secure that new higher paying client. You'll need to upskill in areas that AI can't replicate. In the world where everyone looks great with AI, your only real advantage is your unique strategic thinking. Which takes me to our fourth and last creative trade, strategists. So we have discussed how much is changing in the world of copywriters and photographers and graphic designers, but you know what? I haven't seen a single strategist, including me, worrying about AI. Not one. Now you might think, Nika, don't be so sure. It's coming after you too, okay? Maybe, but let me tell you, most strategists I know by now have tested many AI tools like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini. There's Gamma AI for generated decks, everything. I did see a new kind of research tool that looks like a search engine tailored for brand strategy research that I haven't tested yet. That looks interesting. But so far, none of them can truly replicate the process of connecting 50 different data points, insights, client requests, brand references, brand guidelines, and then deliver it in a concise format that is sometimes nothing short of poetry. I would love for it to take over some of my bigger tasks. But at the moment, AI just can't. It generates bland copy that reads like everything else out there, and then I still have to spend 3 hours finding a fresh insight and connecting it to the consumer need and product attributes and value prop and identifying an aesthetic that reflects the brand essence, and then crafting a brand idea that works across multiple ranges and markets and limited editions and offers. So currently, I use AI for research in the beginning and then polishing in the end, but everything in the middle is my original organic farm-to-table thinking. Now, the extent to which you're using AI will differ based on your client. If your client is a small restaurant in a mid-sized town, you might not need to reinvent the wheel. And AI's brand ideas based on millions of restaurants the humankind has created before are totally fine. You could be successful just by remixing what already exists. Just look at the film industry, where the number of sequels in 2025 has soared to over 40%. This means that if you go to see a movie, only half of them will be new original stories. Another half of what you watch will be a remake, a sequel, or a prequel. Why is that? Because they have proven to work in the past, and studios prefer not to reinvent the wheel. Looking at you, Marvel. The same is true in fashion, where Gen Z is currently wearing what millennials wore in high school. It's all about reviving and thrifting what's already been created. So remixing ideas is profitable. It works, and it will absolutely continue in branding, likely even more than it has before. But the truth is, if you work for a big brand or a new brand that wants to disrupt the market, innovate, or even just stop the scroll on social media, relying solely on AI that just reshuffles what's been done before won't work. You need the ability to connect the dots in new ways. ChatGPT couldn't create Liquid Death without a human prompt to connect hydration with rock music festivals, right? It's only these kind of human insights that can cut through the noise and turn water into a fast-growing beverage brand valued at $1.4 billion, which is insane. And I know it pulled out of the UK last month, but I'm pretty sure it will be back. So if I could leave you with one thought, it's this. Invest in your strategic thinking, because that will be your main advantage against the constantly evolving AI. Here are a few quick steps you can start taking today to prove your true worth to clients and separate yourself from what a client could ask their nephew to do with ChatGPT. Step 1, add strategic to your LinkedIn or Instagram or website profile. Make sure clients see that you're not just a designer, but a strategic creative. But to be able to do that truthfully, make sure you understand what it entails. And for that, I recommend reading Brand Gap by Marty Neumayer, which will help you understand the link between business strategy and design. And then Branding in 5.5 Steps by Michael Johnson, to understand the process of building and designing a unique brand. These will get you going. To get your results faster, I recommend investing in a brand strategy class. I offer one specifically tailored for designers. I'll add a link in the show notes. It's just 60 minutes and it walks you through the top frameworks and processes that ensure your ideas are original. There's also a great one by the author of the book I just mentioned, Branding in 5.5 Steps, from D&AD, but I think that one is partly in person, so you have to be in London. So that's the first step. The second step, when developing your design or creative idea, do not just look at your immediate category. Sure, you have to analyze your competition, but once you've identified the gap in the market, look at the consumer. Look at what they're watching, reading, listening, wearing, what brands they're into. Look at completely different categories for inspiration. Don't just look at soda if you're designing for soda. Think about suffragettes and how sharks are older than trees. Go further than where AI is likely looking and draw from unexpected sources. This is how you avoid the AI-generated look and create something that's truly unique and differentiated in the market. And finally, step 3. Don't think of AI as your competitor or something that's going to steal your job. Farmers who saw tractors as a threat ended up unemployed, but farmers who saw tractors as better shovels succeeded. AI is just a better shovel for you. You now have an amazing toolkit that helps you design faster, and it's what your brain comes up with that will set you apart. So that's that. Everything is going to be okay, my friends. Go create something beautiful, read a couple of books, upskill in strategic thinking, and you'll be good. As I've always said, the best designers are always strategic, especially in the era of AI.